Hello everyone. This video will show how to evaluate a given function at a specified values of x. Let's start with the first example here. So we're given this graph and we're supposed to find f of 5. So this notation tells us that if the value of x is 5, what is our y value? So in this case right here, we're going to look for x equals 5 and the y value for this is -3. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down here. So f of 5 is -3. The second one right here, it says f of 0. That means if the x is 0, what is the y value? So we go to 0 on the x-axis and then look for the y value that matches up with the graph, and that is 6. In this next problem right here, we're given f of 1. This means that if x is 1, what is the y value? So if x is 1 right here, what is our y value? Please notice that we have two open circles here. There is no value for y if it's an open circle. However, we have a dot here or a point which is denoted by a closed circle. So then we can go ahead and say that our f of 1 is -4. Now let's move on to the next problem right here. It says f of -1. So it means that if our x is -1, what is our y? So we go ahead and go to -1 and then paste it up on the graph. And what value of y does it have? And that is 7. We also have f of -4. So that means if x is -4, what is our y value? So if x is -4, so it's going to be right here. What is our y value? That's on the graph right here. This is an open circle. That means there is no value that exists in there. So we can just go ahead and say does not exist. For f of -5, so we go -5 all the way down here. What is the value of y on the graph? And that value is -9. Now let's have another example. In this example, we're given the function g of x and we're supposed to evaluate g of 4. So again, this means that if our x is 4, what is the value of y? So if x is 4 all the way up here, what is our y value? So that's going to be up here on the graph, and that's a 1. The next one right here, g of 3. So if x is 3, what is the value of y? And that is an open circle. That tells us that it does not exist. For g of 2, that means if our x is 2, where does it touch on the graph? It doesn't touch it because apparently there is an asymptote here. So a vertical asymptote exists on x equals 2. So that tells us that g of 2 does not exist. The next one right here is g of 1. This tells us that if our x is 1, what is the value of y? So we go to 1 and we trace through the graph, and that value of y on the graph is -5. We also have g of 0. That means if the x is 0, what is the y value on the graph? So if x is 0, we trace it up and it's going to go up here, and that value of y is -3. And we have g of -2. This tells us that if x is -2, what is the value of y? In this problem here, there's an open circle. However, there's a closed circle up here. So that is our value for the g of -2, and that is 5. So that is how we evaluate the function at the specified values of x.